Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into a really fascinating and honestly quite surprising psychological theory. We hear a lot about human relationships and why they break down, right? But the analysis we're looking at today offers a completely different perspective. It looks at how people can, completely unintentionally, become their own relationship's dustbin. So let's analyze this topic together, jump right in, and see exactly what the logic is behind this theory.
So here's the big question. Why do hours of talking lead to quick breakups? It sounds totally backward, doesn't it? Normally, we think that talking more strengthens a bond and helps partners understand each other. But the source material we're analyzing today claims the exact opposite. It argues that talking too much can sometimes be the very thing that destroys the relationship. Why on earth would that happen? Well, that's exactly the mystery we're unpacking today.
Let's get right into the first part of this theory, the main cause of breakups. I want you to pay close attention to this specific term right here, the relationship dustbin. The theory describes this as an emotional dumping ground. It's a situation where one person pours out all their feelings, all their frustrations, and just dumps them. But the partner who's doing all the listening, they aren't actually valued or respected. According to the source, if you fall into this dustbin role, surviving in that relationship becomes practically impossible. Because think about it, when you're just being used as a trash can for someone else's emotions, any sense of an equal partnership is completely gone. So, how do you know if you're unintentionally being used this way? Let's move on to the second part, the dustbin test.
The theory actually suggests a very specific diagnostic test you can try. Here's how it works. Step 1. When you're in the middle of a really long conversation with your partner, just interrupt it. Suddenly stop and say something like, "Hey, I actually have to go. Something really urgent just came up." And then you just watch their reaction. Step 3 is all about observation. Do they understand and let you go? Or do they instantly start complaining? The theory claims that their immediate reaction hides the real truth of your relationship.
If their response to your urgent situation is something along the lines of, "You never listen to me," or if, after doing this a couple of times, they say, "Wow, you're so boring, it's impossible to communicate with you," well, the source warns that this is a massive red flag. The idea here is that if they have zero respect for your time or your own busy schedule, you have, according to the theory, already become their dustbin.
But why does this happen in the first place? Where does this huge disconnect come from? That brings us to part 3, emotions versus thinking mode.
According to the source, there's a fundamental gap in communication styles at play here. The theory argues that when women communicate, they're often just expressing the emotions they're feeling in that exact moment. They simply want to get it off their chest. Men, on the other hand, supposedly shift immediately into a thinking or problem-solving mode. They hear a problem and instantly feel like they need to fix it. And that mismatch, that is where all the misunderstanding begins.
This is absolutely crucial to understand about the theory. Just because someone is expressing a frustration, it does not mean they are making a serious demand for a solution. They aren't necessarily asking you to take proactive action. A lot of the time, people just talk because they need to vent. They just need someone to listen to them. They're not looking for an engineer or a mechanic to come in and fix their life.
To make this crystal clear, the source uses a really interesting scenario. Let's look at part 4, the red sports car example.
Imagine a female partner complains that taking cabs to work every day is incredibly frustrating. The male partner, jumping right into that problem-solving mode, decides to fix it. He goes out and buys her a brand new red sports car as a surprise. It's a massive, grand financial gesture. He genuinely thinks he's solved the problem forever. But according to the theory, the female partner actually won't value or consolidate this grand gesture in the way the man expects. Why not?
Because the real test happens later. Let's say that new sports car gets a flat tire or breaks down. She calls her partner for help, but he says he's busy and can't be there, maybe offering to send someone else instead. In that exact moment of crisis, if a totally random stranger stops on the road to help her, that stranger becomes far more important to her than her absent partner. The theory argues that it literally doesn't matter how many thousands of dollars you spent. What actually matters is whether you were physically and emotionally available in that moment of crisis.
So, how do we navigate this maze? Let's check out our final section, the right way to communicate.
The conclusions drawn by this theory are very straightforward, laying out a few strict rules of engagement. Rule number 1, when your partner shares something, just listen. Rule number 2, do not take proactive action. Don't try to solve the problem immediately unless you are explicitly asked to. And the third rule, which is honestly the most important one, don't listen so much that you lose yourself in the process. The source is highlighting a very delicate balance here between being a good listener and maintaining your own boundaries so you don't become that emotional dumping ground. As we wrap up this analysis, I want to leave you with a question to really think about. In your own relationships, are you truly communicating, or are you just operating like a problem-solving machine? This theory definitely gives us a totally different lens to view how we listen, how we understand, and how we set boundaries. The next time you find yourself in a deep conversation, keep this in mind. Are you really listening, or are you just becoming a dustbin? Thanks so much for joining us for today's analysis.